After Donald Trump fires off a series of contradictory tweets, first threatening Russia but later toning down his rhetoric, the White House spokeswoman had a hard job to pin down the president's exact message.
We're maintaining that we have a number of options, and all of those options are still on the table.
What does it mean?
It certainly means, I think there's a lot there that you can read from, but at the same time, the president has a number of options.
And in a statement through British police, Yulia Skripal says she will refrain from media contact and has refused help from the Russian embassy and relatives, at least for now. We explore the facts behind the poisoning of the Skripals in the UK.
If this was a variety of the Novichoks, a single drop is enough to kill 10 people within minutes.
Also in headlines, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman gets a warm welcome in France during his three-day trip to Paris, with President Macron now asking critics of the Saudi heir to give him a chance. Hello there, welcome to the latest global headlines here on RT International. With me, Daniel Hawkins. Wherever you are today, you're very welcome on the programme. Now, as the US and its allies mould strikes against Syria, tension between America and Russia continues to grow. That's after President Trump tweeted that Moscow should get ready. A White House spokeswoman later came out to clarify their position.
We're maintaining that we have a number of options, and all of those options are still on the table.
What does it mean?
It certainly means, I think there's a lot there that you can read from, but at the same time, the president has a number of options. He has a number of other options as well. Other options, other options, and all of those options remain on the table. Once again, the president has a number of options. We're considering all of those options.
As you say, all options are on the table when it comes to Syria and Russia.
Certainly, like I've said a few times today, all options are on the table.
Now, Trump promised what he called nice and new and smart missiles would be fired at Syria. That's in response to the alleged chemical attack in the city of Douma. Within an hour of his first tweet, President Trump posted another message, this time calling for all nations to work together and disarmament. Igor Zdanov looks into the uneasy choice the US president has.
All options are on the table for Syria. Well, now it seems this Donald Trump promise of fire and fury has all but taken a diplomatic resolution off that list. From the looks of it, Trump doesn't have many doors left open to him anymore. But one of them is actually the one he's already tried the same time last year. A parallel situation, an allegation of a chemical attack blamed on President Assad's forces. Without even waiting for an investigation, Trump goes in with guns blazing. Back then, the US president gave the Russians an early warning so that its troops could leave the area. Hawks in Washington ripped Trump for it, saying this is exactly why the airstrike turned out to be a waste of time. Another potential option for Trump this time is to go full on. Forget the warnings, forget all caution, and just unleash a unilateral military campaign. Where could that go wrong? Well, where shall we start? It would force Russia to consider its own military options, evoking memories of the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, when Washington and Moscow almost started a nuclear war. Finally, Trump could backtrack on the threat and take more of a cooperative stance, like the one indicated by his second tweet. But some say this would be as good as committing reputational suicide for Trump. This would be not simply reversing on a promise, but also getting soft on Russia, as the critics would put it. After all, Trump's already being called out over numerous major inconsistencies in his Syria approach.
15 months in, and the Trump administration has no serious strategy. Threats, tweets, one-off strikes are not a strategy. Baiting Russia is not a strategy. This is why Congress needs to reassert control over war powers.
So, whatever action he chooses, a strike or no strike, Trump may have just tweeted himself into something of a corner.
Well, the conflicting signals from the American president have understandably left many people confused.
Militarily, I don't like to say where I'm going and what I'm doing.
Russia vows to shoot down any and all missiles fired at Syria. Get ready, Russia, because they'll be coming nice and new and smart.
President Trump tells the Kremlin to get ready for Syrian missiles.
A military strike against Syria is on a hot boil at the White House.
Now he's put himself in the trap where he's got to deliver on something. He has to deliver on his tough talk.
This is sending the sort of message that clearly is alerting all those forces in Syria.
A war declaration over Twitter?
The perfect example of impeccable diplomacy.
Dad, how did the Third World War start?
Our guys have tweeted their guy.
Our relationship with Russia is worse now than it has ever been, and that includes the Cold War. There is no reason for this. Stop the arms race.
Then stop the arms race, you muppet.
Can someone put him in a diaper and spank him until he calms down?
Much of the bad blood with Russia is caused by the fake and corrupt Russia investigation, headed up by the all-Democrat loyalists or people that work for Obama.
You just threatened to start a war with Russia like 20 minutes ago, and now you're blaming the bad blood with Russia on the Democrats.
Trump's Twitter page grabs the attention of the world. But when Trump tells Russia to get ready for American missiles, then calls for a stop to the arms race, then blames the Democrats for bad relations with Moscow, the world starts to get a little bit confused. We decided to ask New Yorkers what they think about the president's social media activity. What order do you think they came out in?
Bottom one first, top one second, and middle one last.
Actually, that one was first, that one was second, that one was third.
Russia vows to, I'll say this is first.
You're correct, that is the first one.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Second one would be this, much of the bad blood with Russia's dogs?
Nope.
Oh, man. So our relationship with Russia is worse now.
Yeah.
And then much of the, okay, got it.
I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, reverse order.
Actually, it's 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
If you were in Russia, if you were like in the Russian foreign ministry, how would you react to this? How would you interpret it?
I would take it very seriously. The United States is a strong nation, and if something is perceived wrong, it's going to be scrutinized.
Does this seem inconsistent to you?
It's real inconsistent. It goes back and forth, so you can't tell what he's thinking, honestly. I would say he might want to start war or something.
If I was in Russia, I would say that USA, Donald Trump is being tough. It's a tough situation over there in Syria right now, but so far he hasn't let us down yet, so I'm okay with it.
Looking at Trump's tweets, it's not exactly clear where he stands, but with lives hanging in the balance and geopolitical tension on the rise, there are probably lots of people out there who wish that Donald Trump could articulate things just a little more clearly. Caleb Maupin, RT, New York.
In the meantime, the UK Prime Minister, Theresa May, has called an emergency cabinet meeting to discuss the country's response to the situation in Syria and potentially greenlight an attack against Damascus, while Russia's president has expressed hope that common sense would prevail.
The state of world affairs invokes nothing but concerns. The situation in the world is becoming more chaotic. Nevertheless, we still hope that common sense will eventually prevail and international relations will enter a constructive course. The entire world system will become more stable and predictable.
Tensions reached a breaking point following claims by the controversial White Helmets group of a chemical weapons attack on the militant-controlled town of Douma in Syria. Russian experts have been to the area and found no evidence, they say, a chemical or nerve agent attack had taken place. Moscow's invited investigators to visit this scene. The international chemical weapons watchdog is due to arrive there by the end of the week. We spoke to some locals in the area.
I haven't seen any chemical weapons here. I don't believe it because I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen anyone suffering from exposure to chemical weapons. I haven't seen it and haven't even heard about it. Nothing at all.
Now, we've got some expert opinions on America's possible strikes and Trump's rhetoric on the Syria crisis.
Is it going to be bombs or bombast? That's what we don't know. I've been waiting with bated breath like everybody else. Last night, maybe tonight, will he launch an attack, or is he going to use this rhetoric as some kind of a means to set up a meeting with Putin, which he says he also wants to do? Will he pull back at the last minute? He's always said, if you're going to do something militarily, you don't talk about it, you just do it. But he's talking, and weaving back and forth like this. I'm hoping it means something. I hope it means he has something else in mind.
I think there will be some response, and I think that response will be decided on Thursday morning after the national security meeting. And I think it's going to be probably more than some would want, and probably less than some would expect.
Meanwhile, Syrian government forces have gained full control over the eastern Ghouta enclave. That's according to the Russian military. Syrian troops have raised the country's flag over the town of Douma, where the West alleges that a chemical weapons attack took place. It was the final militant stronghold in that area. The district was first captured by rebels in 2013. Since then, it's been under siege by the Syrian army. Most of the militants were earlier evacuated from eastern Ghouta under a deal brokered by Russia.